just go back to Jazzmyn quickly.
Peace, y'all. My name is Jazzmyn Red. I'm an MC, artist educator, and arts integration specialist, and an ambassador of hip hop and cultural exchange to the U.S. State Department. And I also serve as the director of equity for Bridgewater State University, which is a public university in Massachusetts, which is rolling out some pretty impressive DEIB, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging work, and leading PWIs across. And that was very difficult in a space that is very much, not only was it like a PWI, but it's in an area that has a lot of aggression towards people of color. But my family moved to this area, and so that's where we was at. This is the school system we were served, right? And so we was in there. But through that school system, yes?
What was history class like?
I was just about to say. So I had the great benefit of having two educators before I even left the home, and that was my dad and my mom. And so my mom was putting herself through college, and she was studying political science and international relations. My mom and dad had me when they were 17 and 18 years old. So I grew up with them, right? And so as my mom is learning this information in college, she's teaching me, right? My dad, black man in America, right? Who went to the same school system that I ended up being in. So there was a lot of, and he's also the person who taught me how to rap. My dad was an MC. He actually did all of the elements of hip hop, which we'll talk about, you know, what those are and what that looks like. But I was educated from them before I even got into a classroom, right? And so I was an agitator in school. Like I said, I'm a troublemaker by nature. I'm a rule breaker. So I was an agitator in school. I'd be the first one in history class like, excuse me, can you teach us something about black people, right? And my history teacher just stopped calling on me after a while. But when I did book reports on books that were written by Alice Walker. I did presentations that were on Tupac and Afeni Shakur. I was coming into history class and doing presentations on the Black Panther Party. Like, that's who I was as a student, you know? Very disruptive to the system, because I knew very early that there was history and there was information that was not being taught. I didn't know at the time that I wasn't being taught it on purpose. It took me a little while, and then I realized, oh, because if you tell us that we genius and we can do all these amazing things, and we made stuff like the stoplight and the light filament and all these other things, then we gonna believe it. And that's gonna be a problem for everybody else, right? So as I continued my education, I started to take what I was learning, and I had this medium of hip hop, right? I started rapping when I was 7 years old. So I started to forge the two together, and I started to rap about the things that I was learning. And really, like, when I graduated high school, I did not want to go to college. My mother was like, I was like, I'm gonna be a rapper. That's what I'm gonna do. And my mother was like, excuse my language, but you could rap your ass to college because that's what you're gonna go do. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, you'll do both, right? And that was the greatest lesson she ever taught me, because literally, I don't know if adults have told y'all this, but you can literally do anything you want. Whatever you want to do is possible. As long as your mind and your heart is lined up on it, and you do the things you have to do to get to the place that you want to be at, it can be done. That's how I can be in HR and teach hip hop on the weekends. You feel me? Like, you can do whatever you want. And so that has led me to create things like Hip Hop is Genius. This workshop is based off of a TED Talk that I gave called Hip Hop is Genius, which we'll have a little clip at the end to it. But basically what we're gonna do today is we're gonna talk about the cultural significance. Well, actually, let me get to that, right? So today's agenda. We're gonna do our welcome, icebreaker, and framing. So that's the spot we're in now. We're gonna talk about hip hop storytelling roots and cultural context. Then we're gonna talk about the genius of hip hop and what does that look like, what does that mean. We're gonna do a lyric analysis where I'm gonna give y'all a couple of song options for you to look up, read the lyrics, and listen to them. And then we're gonna do a cipher after lunch. When we come back, we'll do a little cipher with each other. You're not gonna have to rap too much, so don't worry about it. But we're gonna, SEL cipher, and then we're gonna do some lesson planning. So when we think about, so you will create your own lesson plans, and that's gonna be our deliverable for tomorrow if everybody's cool with that. We're gonna create some lessons. And then that's what we're gonna tell everybody about in our time tomorrow. So how's that feel, everybody? All right, cool. All right. DMX in particular, I like DMX. Sometimes I'll look at the speed and be like, you are doing 85, 90 on the highway. Like, you need to slow down, right? But that's because what must I go through to show you, right? Like I'm in it. And it can have this effect on you that you don't even realize. You don't even know what's happening, right? But it also has the opportunity and the effect of bringing up your mood or making you feel more joyful. Now think about that when you walk, let's think about this in the context of like a classroom, right? When you walk into a classroom, you could walk into silence. You could walk into music that's not only reflective of you, but maybe got a little mood boost in it, right? Maybe if we walk into Lovely Day, we might be like, oh, okay, right. I used to play James Brown for my students all the time. They're like, oh, miss, you playing this again? You playing this again? I'd be like, yeah, I'm playing James Brown, right? And then one day I remember I didn't play anything, right? And they came into class, and they're doing their work silently. And my student that used to complain all the time, he raises his hand. I'm like, what's up, Khalil? He was like, miss, you gonna play that guy? I'm like, what guy? He's like, the brown one? I said, you mean James Brown? He's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I got you. I'm playing right now, right? Because it had an effect, right? He acted like he didn't like him, right? Because he was old school. But it was something to look forward to, right? It was something that helped students to concentrate. It was something that was a mood boost. It was a vibe, right? And so we can utilize that in our classrooms. Now, I say that to say, when we think about hip-hop, literally came Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, JFK, RFK, Fred Hampton. Everybody is assassinated by 68. So just a few years after that is when we have the birth of hip-hop. So who are the young people who are creating hip-hop music? They're the children of this era. They're the children of these people, right? The records that are being played at these parties are from this era. They're from the civil rights era. They're the same James Brown, I'm Black and I'm Proud that's getting played in these parties, right? And so we have to understand that hip hop has taken on, or at least I would say in its early days, it took on the sense of being social and political commentary that was taken away from us, right? It was a way for young people of color to say, hey, this is what's happening in my community, and I don't have a voice. I feel like I don't have a voice, right? Because you took away all my leaders, but I have this thing that allows me to tell my story and paint this picture of what's happening outside of my window and what's happening within my community and what's happening to my people, right? And again, it comes from somewhere. And so when we think about music creating emotions or helping to guide our emotions, and we think about music being social and political commentary, we have to actually look at the music of the civil rights movement, right? And so I want to ask you all, who can you identify up here? Fred Hampton, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Assata Shakur, yes, yep. Da Vinci, Curie, Shakespeare, Beethoven, right? We're talking physics, we're talking poetry and prose and music and all these things, right? Is that these are exceptional individuals that have some form of ingenuity or innovation. They're usually very smart, able to think in new ways, willing to take risks, committed to their goals, persistent, creative. For being able to take something like hip hop and use it as conflict resolution to stop gang violence. Like, I think that that's genius, right? I think that Rakim innovating flow, Rakim played the saxophone. And he grew up playing the saxophone, and when he started rapping, he wanted to rap in the same way that the saxophone plays jazz. So he would rap with a cadence that was, how you call it? What's the word? Hold on, I think I got it here. No, I don't. Syncopated. He would do syncopated rhymes. So it would sound like weaving in and out of an instrumental rather than the traditional da-na-na, na-na-na, na-na-na, right? We have DJ Kool Herc, which I said, right? He innovated turntablism and created that merry-go-round method. He created hip-hop DJ. We have Crazy Legs, who innovated the backspin. I don't know about y'all, but that's physics to me. You know, we got MC Sharrock. Right now, when you go into like a Pro Tools, right, you have something you can put on your voice called reverb, right? That echo sound that we hear on a track, right? They didn't have that in the early 70s when folks was rapping. So, and we use, not we, because that's not my era particularly, I'm a 90s baby, but I have rapped and recorded in many a closet, okay? Closet recording, that's a real thing. MC Sharrock wanted to create a new sound, so what did she do? In the closet, she put her microphone on one end and she put a speaker on the other end, so while she was rapping, it was coming out of the speaker, coming back into the microphone, creating an echo, making reverb on a track. That's science, right? Like that is innovation. That is thinking outside the box. And then lastly, we have Grand Wizard Theodore over there. We also have Cornbread, who innovated what we know now as modern day graffiti, right? But we have Grand Wizard Theodore there at the bottom. He created the record scratch. He was 12 years old when he created the record scratch. A 12-year-old kid created the record scratch off of an accident, right? He was playing with his mom's records. He was recording a tape for the morning because they played music in the morning at his school, and the principal said that he could make a little, you know, saying tape and bring it in and they play it. So he goes home and he's playing with his mom's records and he's putting the tracks together, and she busts in the room and tells him, turn that music down, right? Because it's loud. And so when she does that, he starts like pulling the record back to quiet it so that he can hear her yelling at him, and he's, yes, mom, okay. And then he finishes up. When he goes to listen back to it, he can hear himself baby scratching. And he's like, ooh, I like that, actually. And he starts to use it. And people were trying to recreate that because he was the only one that did it. That's a 12-year-old boy, right? So this is what we're talking about. Like, these are geniuses. And when we're talking about creating literature, right? When we're talking about science, when we're talking about mathematics, when we're talking about just innovation, these folks can be brought into that conversation, but you gotta know, right? And this is the type of knowledge that you have to go and physically get because it's not just willfully given. And so this is how we can reframe that conversation about genius and what and who is a genius. So we'll answer these when we come back, and then we're gonna get into a little bit of cipher. We're gonna do a lyric analysis, and then y'all are gonna create some lesson plans, and we're gonna talk about how we're gonna share that out tomorrow. But hopefully first half feels good to everybody.
Yeah.
We're doing all right in here? All right, cool. Yeah, thank y'all.
How do you feel?
I feel good. I feel good.
Yeah, this is really good for
All right. We feel warmed up? We ready to give some compliments? All right, we're making a safe space. This is how we do that, right? So, I like your outfit today.
I like your energy today.
I like the way you make me change. I really like your blue eyes. That smile is fine. I love your vibe. I love your hair. I love that you be everywhere. I love a jersey. I really need those cheetah pants right now. I like the way you're looking fly.
Love your hair dye.
And we love y'all. And we thank y'all.